If you ever hear a sound repeating where it shouldn't, don't ignore it. Not footsteps, not voices, something smaller, more precise, because that's how it started for me. And I still don't know if I survived it. I work as a municipal water inspector in a quiet industrial town. Not the kind of job people think about, but it takes you everywhere. Under streets, inside tanks, into places that don't feel meant for people. This happened during a routine inspection near an abandoned bottling facility. It wasn't scheduled, just flagged as a regular pressure activity. That usually means a leak or a faulty valve. Nothing serious. Before I continue, make sure you like and subscribe to Unblinking, because stories like this, they don't come from imagination. They come from places most people never see and never want to. The facility sat at the edge of town, surrounded by dry fields. No fences, no signs, just a rusted gate hanging open. It didn't look abandoned in the usual way, more like it had been paused. Inside, the air smelled faintly metallic, like old coins and wet pipes. My boots echoed too clearly on the concrete floor. Even small sounds felt like they traveled farther than they should. I followed the pipe layout toward the main filtration room. That's when I heard it for the first time. A soft clicking sound. Steady, almost rhythmic. Not mechanical, not dripping. Something deliberate. Click. Pause. Click. Pause. Like someone tapping a fingernail on glass. Slowly. I stopped moving, just listening, trying to trace it. It didn't echo like everything else in the building. It felt close, but impossible to locate. I told myself it was just a loose valve or pressure fluctuation. That's what made sense, what should have been true. But something about the pattern didn't feel accidental. The filtration room door was already open when I got there. Inside, rows of massive water tanks stood in silence. The clicking stopped the moment I stepped in. That silence felt heavier than the sound itself, like something had noticed me noticing it. I remember holding my breath without realizing it. I began checking the gauges one by one. Everything was normal, almost too normal. No pressure loss, no irregular flow, nothing explained the report. Then I saw it near the far tank, a small metal stool, placed facing the wall. Not dusty, not old. Recently used, there were faint marks on the floor around it. Circular scuffs, like someone had been turning it slowly. Over and over again. That's when the clicking started again. Louder, this time, but still controlled. Intentional. Click. Pause. Click. Pause. It wasn't coming from the pipes. It was coming from behind one of the tanks, from a space too narrow for comfort. I shouldn't have checked. Every instinct told me to leave, to report it later. But curiosity has a way of pulling you forward. I walked slowly around the tank, trying not to make noise. The clicking didn't stop this time. It continued. As if it didn't care anymore. And then I saw him. A man crouched in the narrow gap, facing the wall, his hand moving slowly, tapping something I couldn't see. He didn't react to my presence at first, just kept tapping, steady, calm, like he was counting something, only he understood. I said, "Hey, this area's restricted." My voice sounded smaller than I expected, like it didn't belong in that space. He stopped tapping immediately, but he didn't turn around. He just stayed still, as if frozen mid-thought. Then, slowly, he stood up. Too slowly, like each movement was calculated. And then he turned to face me. His expression was neutral, almost blank. But his eyes, they looked tired. Deeply tired. Like he hadn't slept in years. He said, "You're early." Not aggressive, not confused. Just certain, as if he had been expecting someone else. I told him he needed to leave, that this was a safety inspection. But even as I said it, it felt meaningless. He smiled slightly, not fully, just enough to notice. Then he pointed behind me without looking. "You should check the second tank." I turned, just for a second, and when I looked back, it was gone. No footsteps, no sound of movement. Just empty space where he had been. And that same heavy silence pressing in again. I checked behind the tanks. Every corner. There was no way he could have gone that fast. No exits. No hidden doors. That's when I noticed the tapping surface. A section of the wall, scratched repeatedly. Hundreds of tiny marks, arranged in uneven lines. Not random scratches. Tally marks. Groups of 5. Over and over again, I felt something shift in my chest. A quiet realization forming too slowly, like my mind didn't want to complete it. Each set of marks was slightly different. Some deeper, some rushed, some barely visible, like they were made over a long time. I stepped back, counting without meaning to. There were too many to process at once, far more than anyone could make in a day. Then I heard the clicking again, but this time, it wasn't behind me. It was inside one of the tanks. A dull, muted tapping from within the metal, faint but unmistakable. Click. Pause. Click. Pause. I approached the second tank slowly, the one he had pointed to. My reflection warped across its curved surface. There was a maintenance hatch near the base. Unlocked. Not supposed to be. My hands hesitated on the latch. Something in me resisted opening it. But I did it anyway. The smell hit first. Not rot. Not exactly. Something older. Something preserved. But wrong. Inside, there was barely any water. Just a shallow layer at the bottom, and something sitting in it. A body. Still, upright, positioned carefully, facing the inside wall. Its fingers were worn down, nails broken, tips raw, like they had been tapping for a long time. And on the inner wall of the tank, more tally marks. Thousands of them. I stumbled back, heart racing, breath uneven. The clicking stopped again, but I could still feel it, like an echo in my head. That's when I noticed something else. The body's posture. It matched exactly how the man had been crouching. Same angle, same position of the hand, same direction of the gaze. I closed the hatch slowly. My hands were shaking now. Nothing about this made sense anymore. As I stepped away, I heard footsteps behind me. Soft, controlled, matching my pace. I turned quickly. No one there, just empty space and silent tanks. But the clicking started again, this time from multiple directions. Not one. Several. Click, pause. Click, pause. Out of sync now, overlapping, like more than one person tapping. I backed toward the exit, trying to stay calm, trying to stay logical. But logic had already left the building. The stool near the wall had moved. Now it faced me, perfectly aligned with where I stood. And on the wall behind it, a fresh set of tally marks. Still wet. I didn't remember hearing any scratching. Didn't see anyone near it. But they were there now. That's when I realized something worse. The count had increased. Since the last time I looked, I left the facility without finishing the inspection. Didn't file a full report. Just marked it as restricted. Some places aren't meant to be explained, but the sound didn't stay there. It followed me home, faint at first, almost unnoticeable. At night, I'd hear it in the walls. Click, pause, click, pause. Always steady, always patient. I checked everything, pipes, wiring, even the structure itself. Nothing explained it. Then one night, I found marks on my bedroom wall. Small, uneven scratches, grouped in 5s. I don't remember making them. I don't remember getting out of bed, but they were there. And sometimes, when I wake up suddenly, my hand is raised against the wall. Fingers pressed, ready to tap. The pattern feels familiar now. Comforting, in a strange way, like something I've always known. Maybe stress played tricks on my mind, or maybe some places carry things we simply don't understand. But one thing I believe with certainty is this. Everything happens by the will of Allah. Nothing moves. Nothing changes. and nothing touches our lives without his knowledge. Everything happens according to Allah's will. And maybe some questions are not meant to be answered. If you've ever heard something like this, something small, repetitive, impossible to locate, tell me in the comments, and share this story with someone who stays up late, someone who listens too closely to silence, because sometimes silence listens back.